coming up.
Fertility's really good on them. They don't lollygag around. You know, if calving time comes, you better ready to tag calves because you're going to get a lot of calves. Longevity is another thing a guy could talk about.
Almost every year we've got a cow that comes through that's 18 to 20 years old, and she's bred.
See why Gelbvieh influenced cattle are the smart, reliable, and profitable choice. Next on The American Rancher. Hello and welcome to The American Rancher. I'm Pam Minnick. Docility is one of the most appreciated Gelbvieh traits among commercial cattle producers. Those same producers also value cattle that will breed back and produce a calf every year. And Gelbvieh cattle exhibit maternal strengths such as fertility and longevity.
Well, my name is Dennis Meyer. My wife Kelly and I have 6 children. Our operation consists of cow herd that's split into 2 groups where we calve in the fall and calve in the spring. We raise as much of our own feed as possible, usually in the high 90% at least for what we're doing, and we calve the cows out. We've raised the calves, wean them, grow them, and then finish them for slaughter on our home farm. We run the purebred red Angus bulls on the Gelbvieh cows, and then we buy the purebred Gelbvieh bulls to run on the red Angus sired cows. Try to keep the cross going that way. The Gelbvieh, we feel like brings a lot of growth, a lot of red meat production. They're very maternal, very fertile cows. The red Angus bring the maternal characteristics. They bring the quality grade to the beef, and they rate very highly in the maternal characteristics as well. I think we've got as good longevity on our cow herd as almost every year we've got a cow that comes through that's 18 to 20 years old, and she's bred, and she's going back for another one.
I'm Russ Bloom. We ranch and farm near Scotia, Nebraska. We got a small cow-calf operation and try to carry around 200, 250 cows year-round, and we farm a few hundred acres. We raise corn, raise soybeans so we can save on nitrogen to plant corn, or raise corn to feed cows. It's kind of the way it works. Oh, I met my Gelbvieh breeder, I'm guessing it's probably 18 years ago, something like that. Struck it off pretty good, and it started years ago. I seen an article, just a little flyer, and it was talking about how the Gelbvieh breed was established, and I was pretty interested in it, and that was a long time ago. So then I had the opportunity to start buying my own bulls, and we started kind of going that direction, and it's been a win-win deal. Then we started out with straight Gelbvieh bulls, and then when they started doing the balancer thing, we really liked that because they used to be red all the time, and then everybody wanted black cattle. Well, then Gelbvieh started breeding balancers, homozygous black, so it was kind of a win-win deal. We really like keeping our replacement heifers back. Obviously, the cows don't get so big. There's a little more moderate frame that stays on feed, and the docility of them is just great. You know, grandkids around, things like that, they always want to be the grandpa to help tag calves, things like that, so you really can't take a chance on a crazy cow. And they mother real well. I mean, they milk great, raise big calves. Fertility is really good on them, and longevity is another thing a guy could talk about, because they just stay in the herd. You know, ain't nothing to have a 13, 14-year-old cow in the herd yet. It's really surprising. And normally, you know, we're around 3% with kind of like stick around, you know, and yeah, 97, 98% bred, and bred right up, you know, as well. They don't lollygag around. You know, if calving time comes, you better ready to tag calves because you're gonna get a lot of calves.
Sean Hagberg, this is my wife Mallory, with Hagberg Feed Yard in Spencer, Nebraska. We're a family operation. We have 6 kids. My wife and them help out wherever they need to be. My wife runs all the stuff in the office. We have a trucking distiller's brokerage on the sideline that she manages that and takes care of all the office stuff and helps outside.
We run about 5,000 head of feeder cattle here in the feedlot. All of them, well, we feed out all of our home-raised cattle. We have about 250 to 300 pairs, cows, calves, and 6 kids. And Sean's outside for the most part, keeping things running up at 4:35 in the morning. And I always know that it's time to get up and get ready for school when I hear the feed trucks start up.
My parents started raising registered Gelbviehs in the mid-'80s, raised them all through the late 90s, then kind of, as you got older, kind of dwindled out of them. Then I would use more Angus and Hereford for a little bit, and then we started using Gelbviehs again in the last 8-10 years, and I could see the big gap of when we use straight Angus to the Angus on the Herefords, or we could see easily the difference between the Gelbvieh influence across, especially longevity of the cows. I mean, the longevity is a third more easily with a cross in them, and temperament too. I mean, there's just, I was running a lot of Angus cows. We got a lot of calves we could not tag. Now, Gelbvieh influence, it's a lot easier, safer. Since we started using Gelbvieh more back in our herd, our frame size is much more even now. With some of the other breeds, we had such a variance of cows that got way too big. I mean, just crazy big for this. And the Gelbviehs, the breed back and the ease of fleshing has just been, I mean, it just goes back to me, and it reminds me of back when we had cattle in the 80s and 90s, of how long a cow would last back then, and then it just reminds you things like, wow, you know, cows, those little Gelbvieh cows, they just hung around, they produced a calf every year, and they bred back every year, and the udders were good back then, and since we were using again, the udder quality is still great. We just kind of had less problems with them, it seemed like. And I've noticed that as we're influencing more Gelbvieh back into our herd, we're having more consistent, especially when I go pick my replacement heifers now. When I was using some other breeds, you had a real top and a real bottom and so-so, and the Gelbviehs were more even and consistent all the way through in a very less wide range of animals you're dealing with.
After the break,
I felt like we needed to have a breed that brought about the yield grade into the carcass.
learn how Gelbvieh and Balancer influence cattle add performance in the feedlot. That's after the break, here on The American Rancher.
For nearly 40 years, Hydrobed has provided cow-calf producers with proven products, manufactured to thrive in tough North America operating conditions. Now, Hydrobed is proud to offer its customers the first variable-speed electric bale handling control system, the HydroStix. The HydroStix mounts to the left of the steering column, and for added convenience, an optional wireless HydroStix is available. For more information, visit their website at hydrobeds.com or call 800-530-5624.
Welcome back to The American Rancher. When it comes to raising beef, it's important that cattle do well in the feed yard and produce a quality product. These producers and cattle feeders share their perspective on raising and feeding Gelbvieh and Balancer influenced cattle.
After feeding cattle for how many years and seeing all the thousands of head that go through, and you learn a lot from watching them, their performance, how they grade. That helps you make decisions on what you want to use in your own cow herd. And that's where I saw something with some cross in it just made a world of difference on gradability, less yield grade 3s and 4s, efficient, conversion. I mean, just in an animal that you just drive by and you're like, wow, it sticks out to you. You drive by it, a whole pen, and also you see something with some cross, or a pen of cross is, and you're like, wow, that is something that sticks out. And that's where I started making my mind, and we need to go back to using it on our own cow herd. And that's when I started using Gelbviehs again, and we're starting to see that now in our own, and I'm very well pleased with those results. We've marketed our home raised for the last 5 to 6 years on the grid, been very well pleased with the results of that. And Kind of learned where to improve a little bit, but as we kind of had too many 4s and 5s to begin with using straight breds, and we started introducing Gelbvieh, and there was lessened our yield grade 4s and 5s, but still maintaining our high percentage choice CAB and primes yet also, which has benefited us very well. As I'm purchasing feeder cattle, I guess the first thing I ask when the water buyer calls up says, are they straight bred or they got a little cross to them? Because I see the advantage of what a little bit of cross does to the animal. I mean, the performance, the leanness, the yield grade. Just an animal, you can look and see the difference in them. And it's a huge benefit. And that's what I aim to buy whenever I possibly can. I will easily bid another $1 to $3 for that animal that does have a little bit of cross, because I know the benefits on my end that I will receive for that.
Well, in the early 1980s, I was in college at Kansas State University, and I knew I wanted to have a cow herd when I graduated. So I started doing some research on different breeds of cattle and what I wanted to ultimately accomplish. And the Gelbvieh breed, in the research from the Meat Animal Research Center in Clay Center, Nebraska, the papers they published at that time ranked the Gelbvieh breed very highly in most of the economic traits that I was looking to excel in with my herd. High fertility, high maternal characteristics, good milk production, high growth ability, and then excellent meat productivity as well. Our main focus is to produce the best quality beef possible, and to get that done, I felt like we needed to have a breed that brought about the quality carcass and a breed that brought about the yield grade into the carcass. And by merging the two, give the best quality beef for the consumer. The heterosis on the, you get the growth out of it, you get the higher milk production, and I really think it contributes to a lot of the longevity in our cow herd as well. When we sell our cattle on the grid and get the results back, we're very, very much into the mid-90s as far as choice on our carcass yield. And the yield grades are staying in the 2s and 3s pretty well. It's not unusual for us to send off a load and have no selects on the load. We'll typically see 14 to 15% primes and the rest choice, with just a few select over the years.
Well, I know a lot of guys, your cow herd, you look at your steer calves as your income and your, where you need to make your money at, and you kind of treat your heifers as more of a commodity, or vice versa. We've never fed our own cattle out, but we got, there's a lot of times, there's probably 40, 50% of the time the calves go to the same place the next year as they did the year before, so that, tells you there's something good about them. Guys keep wanting them back.
So I'm very satisfied choosing Gelbvieh because I get the best of both worlds for my cow herd and in the feed yard. And that's something very rare. You can find they'll excel in both places.
Up next.
We want to raise a calf that will grade prime and still hang a yield grade 2 carcass.
We'll learn why caring for cattle is an important aspect of beef production. That's after the break, here on The American Rancher. Welcome back to The American Rancher. When it comes to caring for their cattle, ranchers know that good animal husbandry is not only best for the animal's well-being, but also has long-term benefits for producing safe and nutritious beef. Producers' top priority is creating a quality beef product. And although raising cattle isn't always easy, it is a rewarding way of life.
herd health is huge. You can't emphasize herd health anywhere near enough, because it's get on top and stay on top. Our nutrition program is top notch. We work with very good nutritionists for you got to have the right kind of mineral, and the people we work with for minerals, they've really done good. When the calves we don't have sick calves. Don't want to jinx ourselves, but we really just don't. I mean, we start them healthy. They get their shots, get vaccinated in the spring at branding time, just like everybody else does. And they get preconditioned generally the last of July, 1st of August, and then obviously boosted at weaning time.
So I'm originally from Northern California, Sonoma County. Totally different culture. Most people don't know where their food comes from. Since being here, I've just learned so much. Like, this industry is really hard to stay in. Sean works really hard to create a good product, and he does everything in his power to make sure these animals are comfortable and treated well, and because at the end of the day, you need a good finished product. It's a great way of life. It's a hard way of life. I've watched my husband go up and down with the markets, and the last few years were really hard, but he never gave up, and he's stronger for it, and so is our family.
We've got 12 or 13 grandkids now, so that's what it's all about, because like I mentioned before, the docility in the Gelbvieh cross cow is so important, because when the grandkids come around, you don't want you want them to enjoy it. And I've often said ranching's a tough way to make a living, but it's a great way to raise a family.
Ultimately, our goal as beef producers, we want to raise a calf that will grade, prime, and still hang a yield grade 2 carcass. Because we know that carcass, that steak is going to have fat less than 1/4 of an inch around the outside. It's going to be extremely well marbled and very flavorful. We do sell most of our finished cattle go to Tyson, and they get sold on the grid. But we do sell at least a half a dozen every year to local customers and repeat customers almost every time. And we eat the same beef that we sell to Tyson or to our neighbors.
We eat everything that we raise, and it's our goal to create the best product that we can, because it's good for us, it's good for the environment, it's good for the consumer, where we go out and eat the same thing that we sell.
In 2021, the American Gelbvieh Association celebrated its 50th anniversary as a cattle breed association in the United States. There have been many changes in the breed over the past 50 years that are worth noting.
I am Phil Vandervoort, my wife Linda, my son Reed, and his wife Jamie are in the Gelbvieh business. We've been in the business for 50 plus years. Things that have improved are the maternal traits. One of the things, the udder structure and the teat size has been reduced to fit the American beef producer. The disposition of these cattle, to me, is unbelievable. We've used here at our place, we've used at least 6 different European breeds over time. The Gelbvieh cow, she always comes in, she always breeds, and the cattle, you can handle them. Mature size is important, and the data shows that the Gelbvieh or Gelbvieh cross cow is right at the right point in her weight. 1,300 pound cow is right weight for the industry. And so one of the major problems was to change the birth weight and increase calving ease. And I think we've done that as better than anybody else. And so The calf shape has changed. We've improved the consistency of type. That's very important. So we changed the conformation and made the breed more accepted by cattlemen. They look at a Gelbvieh today and they may think there's something there, but they don't see what the real German Gelbvieh looked like. They see the Americanized version. And I think I'm pretty proud of the way that has transpired. Two other major factors, the poll factor, that came in pretty early. That was one of the things that breeders really worked on. And they developed poll lines, and eventually the breed is basically polled. The next factor that came into play was the black color. In the area here in western South Dakota, black calves command a premium. Not always, but they were 5 to 10 cents higher than other colors. We think the breed pays for itself. Now, going back into the 70s and 80s, we tried, I mentioned before, we tried 5 or 6 different breeds. And I would express to you that the production aspects of these cattle is next to, they're the very best, very best. The fertility and the pounds produced for the input, we're very, very satisfied with that.
For more information about Gelbvieh and Balancer cattle and the commercial programs offered by the American Gelbvieh Association, visit gelbvieh.org. Or for more information about us, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Pam Minnick. For the entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.